Chapter 24. Why Are You Afraid? The next day. Well, Bibi was certainly energetic today. He had been all but unable to sleep the previous night in his sudden onrush of giddiness, and now he was flying all over the place and practically shaking with how excited and hyped up he was. And it wasn't because Fluttershy was coming over in 5 minutes, according to him. No, it was due to the overwhelming amount of good stuff in the air. He had tried to list off the colors of the lights that only he could see, but eventually he gave up because there were just too many. Right now, he was doing backflips in the air with his wings, giggling excitedly to himself as he did so. Eventide was keeping close and observing him very carefully. They didn't want him to fall to the ground in another fit of exhaustion again, after all. After the 7th consecutive backflip, he chose to intervene. Come on, Bibi, try not to overdo it. I get it, you're excited, but we don't want you to collapse again, do we?
I'll be okay,
Bibi retorted, doing another backflip before spinning in the air to shoot Eventide an enormous grin.
I've just never felt so happy before. Whatever that light show was last night, it was amazing.
Eventide rolled his eyes with a quiet sigh and a charmed smile, before reaching out to unceremoniously pluck his son from the air. Bibi gave a pitiful whine at his aerial performance being cut short, but he was forced to grumpily concede Eventide's point when he noticed just how out of breath he already was. Eventide set him on his shoulder, where the bug promptly slumped down to rest, using his forelegs to hang on while his rear legs dangled off the back. There we go, Eventide said quietly to him. Just rest there for a little bit. He then turned and looked over at Buddha, who was currently laying down next to her food and water bowls, both of which were about half consumed. The golden retriever had been watching them curiously as they interacted, her eyes mainly focused on the now heavily panting Bibi. After a few seconds and a reassuring look from Eventide, though, she concluded that all was well before going back to her fold and taking a few chomps. Eventide breathed in and out, enjoying the newfound quiet. Then came a knock on the door. Well, there went the quiet. Buddha scrambled from her food to run up to the door, and Bibi's wings were once again buzzing madly, this time right in Eventide's ear.
It's Fluttershy! It's Fluttershy!
He exclaimed eagerly, jabbing his hoof at the door. Well, at least he had the foresight not to leave my shoulder, Eventide thought to himself before lifting Bibi from his shoulder and set him down on the floor. Probably, but let's not take any chances. Go to my room and wait for me to call you, okay? He instructed while pointing towards his room. Bibi pouted, but did as he was told, running off to hide. Eventide gave a nod to himself, then walked over to the door. Hey, Buddha, move aside, eh? He said, nudging the dog away while grasping the handle and opening the door. Sure enough, there was Fluttershy, looking back at him with a large smile on her face.
Hello. Sorry it took me so long to come. I had to say bye to someone,
she said before looking down at Buddha and kneeling down to give the excited and slobbering dog a few pets.
Oh, hello, Buddha. How are you doing, eh? Oh, who's a good girl? That's right, it's you.
Eventide chuckled and backed up, allowing Fluttershy to enter the home once she was done petting Buddha. Closing the door behind his new guest, Eventide then turned back to look down the hall. Okay, Bibi, it's safe. Come on out, he called happily. The summons were answered immediately. Like a rocket, Bibi did as he was told, shooting out of the bedroom, across the living room, and right into Fluttershy's chest. The impact carried enough force to tear a gasp out of her and force her to stumble back a few steps. She thumped into the door and leaned against it for support, managing to wrap her arms around Bibi in a tight hug. With a slight wince, she looked down at him and gave a large, friendly smile.
And it's good to see you too, Bibi.
Bibi beamed up at her for a moment, his eyes alight with joy at seeing his favorite aunt while his wings continued to buzz on his back.
Hey, Fluttershy, we saw the light show, and the school exploded, and now everything is so bright and tasty, and I've never been so full.
he announced in one long, uninterrupted stream before remembering that little thing called breathing. He took in a deep breath, trying to relax. Then, with a weak exclamation, his muscles gave out on him, and he all but fell limp in her arms. Fluttershy kept him from falling, thankfully, lifting him back up and holding him to her chest with a small frown.
Oh, Bibi. Did you wear yourself out again?
She asked sympathetically.
Uh-huh.
Bibi quietly mumbled before snorting in dissatisfaction.
I hate being tired. I want to fly more. I know,
Fluttershy said soothingly, giving Bibi a few gentle pats on the back of the head before gingerly handing the little guy back to Eventide.
But you can't right now. You're still really skinny.
Bibi huffed, but otherwise said nothing. Eventide took him, and with slow and cautious movements, got Bibi back onto his shoulder. With that, he locked gazes with Fluttershy and smiled. He'll be okay.
Oh, I imagine so. He's got you to take care of him.
Fluttershy replied with confidence before clasping both her hands behind her back, her expression becoming a bit more serious.
So, is everything fine here?
Yeah. Bibi stopped being sick at about the same time the lights flared up. What was all of that, anyway? Eventide ventured curiously, his attention briefly shifting to look at Bibi. Fluttershy's eyes flicked back and forth between the two for a moment before she answered.
Well, you remember how Sunset turned into a giant demon a ways back?
She asked hesitantly, her hand starting to fidget behind her back. Eventide nodded. Yeah. You still haven't told me what happened that day, anyway. Or why you had wings, he said slowly, noting Fluttershy's sudden nervousness. Hey, are you okay?
I'm fine,
Fluttershy quickly blurted, a large, strained smile growing on her face.
Anyways,
Her eyes drifted to and locked onto Bibi, who was now watching her with wide, confused eyes.
Why are you afraid?
Bibi suddenly asked, drawing Eventide's attention. Once the bug noticed the confused looks he was getting, he took a deep breath and clarified.
I mean, there's a lot of purple and black around you. I think that means you're scared of something.
He cringed and shifted back a bit, his tongue sticking out.
Dada usually turns all purple and black whenever I do something bad that gets me hurt, or whenever I get sick or tired. I don't like it. It tastes bad.
Eventide observed him for a second more, considering his words, then turned to look at Fluttershy. She flinched back from his searching gaze, looking genuinely distressed and anxious about something. Fluttershy? Hey, what's wrong? He pressed in a tender voice and took a step forward. To his surprise, Fluttershy stepped back, her eyes no longer able to meet his.
It's nothing,
she said in a quiet, quivering voice that was barely audible. She shrank back, her hair falling in front of her face to hide her. She went completely still, as if she were hiding from a large, angry animal. In turn, Eventide took a slow step back. It doesn't seem like nothing, he observed in a soft and reassuring tone. Fluttershy, it's okay. You can tell me if something's wrong. She shook her head, one of her teal eyes becoming visible again.
Dada?
Bibi suddenly interjected, poking Eventide in the face with a hoof.
It's getting worse. I think you're scaring her.
Eventide blinked in surprise and took another few steps back. He watched Fluttershy for a while longer, and he had to guiltily admit that Bibi was probably right. He gave off a quiet sigh and held up his hands in a disarming gesture. I'm sorry, Fluttershy. Shouldn't have pressured you like that. If you don't want to talk about it, I won't make you. But I'm happy to listen if you need me to. Fluttershy offered up a wordless mumble of gratitude, slowly emerging from behind her hair.
Thank you. That means a lot. It's nothing serious, don't worry,
she said softly before taking a deep breath.
Now, about the light show and Sunset turning into a demon. To cut a long story short, the light show you saw last night was, very related to when Sunset turned into a big demon. We've, well, you see, there's been actual, real magic happening around CHS lately, and Sunset started using it first. It messed with her head, made her worse than usual, and turned her into the demon you saw. Some other people who can use magic, called the Sirens, saw it when the school, exploded 6 months ago. And they recently began trying to steal all of the magic at CHS for themselves. They did this by using their own magic to spread anger, hatred, and more. And they fed off that negativity and got more powerful the longer it went on. The light show last night was my friends and I stopping them at, the last performance of the Battle of the Bands.
Fluttershy finished recounting her story, and then looked down at the ground. Everyone was quiet for several moments while Eventide and Bibi processed this information. They just stared at her, scrutinizing her in surprise. Well, that was quite the info dump. Magic? Magic duels? Sirens? If he hadn't seen it with his own 2 eyes, or if Bibi wasn't in his life, he might have claimed she was lying. But his son was a small emotion-eating bug horse. Eventide gave a nod and a smile. All right. Was anybody hurt?
No, but the people trying to steal our magic got away. They're powerless now, though, so, they shouldn't be causing any problems,
Fluttershy assured, a genuine smile on her face this time. Then her expression turned to one of confusion, and she tilted her head.
Wait, you believe me?
Eventide jabbed a thumb at Bibi. Look at my son. Fluttershy couldn't help but give a small snort of amusement, conceding his point. Bibi's wings twitched on his back, and he tilted his head to go along with an inquisitive chitter.
So, were you afraid because you were worried we wouldn't believe you?
He asked curiously, drawing both of their attention. He squirmed a bit and elaborated.
I mean, whenever someone on TV says they saw a big scary monster or magic or something, nobody believes them. And Dad never believes me when I tell him about the monster in my wall.
Because it's a pipe, not a monster, Eventide recited with a roll of his eyes. Fluttershy gave a slow nod at Bibi and visibly relaxed.
Yes, I was scared you'd think I was making it up, or that I'd gone insane. Kinda silly, I guess, since, saw it all happen.
She mumbled, one of the long locks of her pink hair falling to conceal her face. Eventide shrugged. I mean, my son is a bug horse that hatched from a green egg that I found under a tree 3 months before the high school across the street from me was blown up by a gigantic she-demon. And he lit my bed on fire once with his face. I'm prepared to believe just about anything at this point.
Wait, I did?
Bibi asked, surprised. Fluttershy giggled at the two, turning her face down.
I guess you have a point there. I'm sorry. I was being stupid.
You were being shy and unsure of yourself, Eventide corrected her gently. He came forward and put a hand on her shoulder. You're fine, Fluttershy. She gave him one more appreciative smile.
Thank you,
she said before glancing over her shoulder.
Oh, anyways, I should probably go and get back to the others. We're supposed to be going into town soon to celebrate, and I'm already holding them up to talk to you.
Eventide raised an eyebrow, then nodded. Sure, yeah, go ahead. Don't let us keep you. Thanks for filling us in. Oh, I'd like more details later if that's okay.
Of course,
Fluttershy assured, punctuating her sentence by reaching out with a finger to poke Bibi on the nose. The bug immediately went cross-eyed, then glared indignantly at the offending appendage as if it had committed a mortal sin. Again, Fluttershy giggled, then turned for the door.
Bye, you three, and good luck with the job hunt, Eventide.
With that reminder, Eventide slapped a hand to his forehead. Ah, shoot! I totally forgot about that! He yelped before giving an appreciative look. Thanks for the reminder. I should probably get on that. Fluttershy nodded, then stepped out through the door.